So definitely two veterans in this category. Zero is actually the current record holder for PC, and Jack is second, I believe.
Yeah, these are our top two seeds, and they're meeting off right away in round one. It's pretty exciting, but looks like we're taking off right away. So we have our Ophilia single story race. The goal of this is to finish the Ophilia story as quickly as possible, while starting with Ophilia as a
Yeah, we're gonna see the runners here just going through some of Ophilia's story. Here we are introduced to the characters and specific what's called field skills that these characters have. So Ophilia's field skill is called Guide, which allows her to bring NPCs into battle. And we're gonna see that coming up very soon, where Ophilia is going to guide an NPC in the tavern. We call him the Summon Winds guy because he has a skill called Summon Winds, and this is going to be very useful for the upcoming boss fight.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a divergence here. Jack actually got the Summon Winds guy before the cutscene, and Zero's going to get him after. Which of those do you think is actually the more optimal?
I don't know, actually. I've always done the cutscene first before the Summon Winds guy. But I imagine it wouldn't make too much of a difference. Here we're gonna see both of them purchase a quartz rod from the shop and equip it onto Ophilia, which is gonna increase her magic attack. And this is gonna be very important for dealing damage on the upcoming boss and on the next boss fight coming up in about maybe 6 to 8 minutes from now. Yeah, we're gonna see them running through the first map here, and they're gonna opt to escape from these encounters. Oh, and Zero's caught by surprise.
Yeah, so Zero actually got 2 encounters on this screen, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think that's actually the most common occurrence. But Jack, as you saw there, he walked toward the end of that screen, and he walked a good amount of it in order to lessen the encounter rate. So before you get evasive maneuvers, if you choose to walk instead of run, your encounter rate does drop. But at the same time, you're going to be moving slower. So he decided to take it a little bit safer and walk the rest of that, where Zero went for the running strat the entire way, and he was punished for it by getting that second random encounter.
Yeah, and we're actually going to see Zero opt to break the wolf here in order to guarantee an escape, whereas Jack has failed a couple of escapes on top of being caught by surprise, so he is going to fall back behind Zero.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate for Jack. I do appreciate Zero taking the safe route there. There's some RNG coming up in this Guardian fight, and anything you could do to increase your consistency is good.
Yep, so we're immediately going to see Zero summon the NPC that he guided, and we're going to hope that he uses Summon Winds, which hits 3 times, and we're gonna see that on Jack's side of the stream, and you see that Summon Winds hits 3 times for the Guardian's weakness, which lowers its shield count, and when it runs out of shields, it will be broken and it will take double damage from all attacks.
I'm glad to see both of them are getting some really good wins RNG. This summoned NPC does have other attacks, and he only has a certain % chance to actually use that Summon Winds attack. So both of them are getting pretty lucky here. They got some good wins to start off this fight. And if they can just keep getting them, the more of them they get.
Yeah, and we're gonna see Summon Winds happen again for Jack, and this is really good because when the Guardian summons the ad, you really want to see Summon Winds. You really don't want to see the normal attack into the Wisp. You want to take off as many shields as you can on the Guardian before the ad has a chance to explode on you. And we're actually going to see Jack finish off the fight already, so he got some pretty good luck on the Guardian fight, while Zero... Oh, that's unfortunate. He had to eat the explosion from the ad, but he's just going to finish off the fight here.
Yeah, it's really good that Zero actually recognized that pattern he was getting there, though. He was using those healing grapes to top himself off. That ad can actually kill you if you're basically anything below full life. So by getting himself healed to full, he knew the ad was going to explode.
We're gonna see
Adapted really well.
Jack allure the flurry, guide the flurry guy.
That's ambitious.
What's Jack gonna do?
He's YOLOing at Kate.
Is he going for it? Alright, so for those of you who don't know, a Kate is a special encounter in this game. So basically when you're not in a story chapter, every encounter has about a 3% chance to spawn what's called a Kate. And a Kate gives an enormous amount of XP and JP for this point in the game. And a JP is essentially job points which you use to teach skills to your characters. And if you get one of those early on, you'll be able to put yourself in a very advantageous position because you'll be able to get evasive maneuvers much earlier and start collecting resources from around the world.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. Jack actually did not wind up getting that 3% encounter. Surprise, surprise. And he's going to be moving on to Atlas Dam to pick up Cyrus with his Flurry guy, which is going to be a little bit weird because the Summon Winds guy is the more ideal companion to deal with Russell as opposed to the Flurry.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps he is going to just tag Atlas Dam and hunt for a Kate, but I don't think that's the ideal strategy for a race.
No, I agree. He's going in and fighting Russell. So he did take that little bit of a chance there. The Flurry guy actually has a much better chance of killing the Kate than the Summon Winds guy. But so if he would have gotten a Kate there, he could have potentially saved upwards of 2-3 minutes. But again, it's a very rare encounter, and you're unlikely to get it. Zero, on the other hand, is going for the safer route, keeping the Summon Winds guy, making his way down to Atlas Dam. And he got some pretty bad encounter RNG there. Ants are just absolutely terrible. You don't ever want to see those ants. They are really, really bad to get. And he got 2 of them on his run to Atlas Dam.
Yeah, you really don't want to see ants, not just because they deal a lot of damage, but also because they come in groups of 2, which means it's impossible to break the formation. So you just kind of have to run and hope that you manage to escape and not get hit a bunch of times by the ants. You can actually die if you get hit too many times on the way to Atlas Dam. So definitely not the best luck for Zero. We are gonna see them pick up Cyrus, and Cyrus has a field skill called Scrutinize, which allows you to uncover hidden items and certain information which you can use to complete quests. We are gonna see that come into play immediately, where they scrutinize the guard right in front of Cyrus for a small soul stone, which they will be using to deal damage on Russell.
Yeah, and Jack also kind of made what I assume is a planned ad-lib, where he swapped out his Flurry companion for the guard in Atlas Dam. I'm actually not even sure what this guard does. I hope it is good.
I believe he guided the old lady from right outside the Yvonne's office, whatchamacallit. And she her attacks are, I think, fireball. So fire attack is going to be useful for breaking the ads on Russell.
Yeah, so it seems like it's going to be a pretty good ad lib. Russell's also so the ad should be able to help break those ads, which is really the most dangerous part of this fight. Once those 2 icicles are dead, then Russell himself is pretty tame. He doesn't really deal that much damage. He can take forever to kill if your companion doesn't kind of play nice.
Yeah, we see Jack opt to skip the light soulstone in the study, whereas Zero opted to pick it up. Jack might have gotten the shadow soulstone drop from the Guardian fight a while ago, which is why he's able to skip that soulstone in the study. But we see now that Jack's gonna break the the wisps and start to take out the ads, and then from there he is gonna start dealing damage to Russell.
Yeah, so Russell is kind of a pain in this category. You really do have to play it by the RNG of what your summoned companion actually does. In order to kill Russell, you really want to deal a maxed Holy Light and a maxed Fireball to him with Cyrus and Ophilia respectively, twice to him while he's broken. Since your summoned companion with winds can hit 3 times, you can break him very, very quickly in succession, and that would be the best patterns. If you keep getting those winds, they deal a lot of damage and they break him very quickly.
Yeah, so we see pretty good summon winds luck on Zero's end. He's already dealt a bunch of damage to Russell, and we see on Jack's end that as opposed to the summon winds guy, the Fireball lady, we could call her, only does 1 hit with a wind attack, which is not ideal when it comes to breaking Russell.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit slower. I think you just don't have that top end where you just have your guys summon wins over and over and over. But Jack does deal with the fight very, very cleanly. Maybe even having that just 1 wind is very consistent. You're able to kind of know what pattern you're going to get as opposed to relying on the 3 wind.
Yeah, definitely. And we are going to see both of them finish Russell off about the same time. And immediately after Russell, we are going to see Jack teach Luminescence to Ophilia and Lightning Blast to Cyrus. And these are skills which allow them to take out groups of enemies outside Atlas Dam to farm for JP. And so we're coming up on the infamous Whistlewood section. Sunny, could you explain what the Whistlewood section is about?
Yeah, so both of these runners, they need to get 100 JP on Cyrus in order to learn Evasive Maneuvers. Evasive Maneuvers is basically the thing that saves the most time in this game. It decreases your encounter rate by 2.5, so you get fewer encounters than you would normally get. In order to do this, our runner is going to be going into Whistlewood, which is a higher level zone just outside of Atlas Dam, where the encounters can give quite a bit of JP. They will be doing this grind section right here as well. This is just for a little bit of safety because the encounters in Whistlewood can also not give a full 100 JP. They can give between 60 and 130 depending on what encounter you get.
So we are going to see both of them get pretty good formations. For this encounter outside Whistlewood, 2 ants and a meat give about 17 to 18 JP depending on how quickly you kill that encounter. But we do see that Cyrus just came up short of killing the ants on Jack's end, and that's likely due to him not equipping not buying a pointed hat from the store in Atlas Dam, as opposed to Zero, who did pick up pointed hat for both Ophi and Cyrus. And the pointed hat gives just an extra bit of magic attack, which allows Cyrus to one-shot those ants.
Yeah, and both of them getting 2 encounters on the way to Whistlewood, that's fairly common. You can actually get 0 on the way to Whistlewood as well. That would be much rarer, but it would be a lot faster. And Jack got 2 of the ant encounters, and he's going to get a bugs encounter right away, but it catches him by surprise.
On the other hand, we see Zero get the worst encounter, but he might be fine here. Oh, looks like he's just about a few JP short.
Yeah, he's going to need to do just a little bit more grinding. He got the double frog encounter, and he gets another one here. This isn't what you want to see. Ideally, you want to see the ants with the meep or 3 ants, but the frogs do kind of do in a pinch. They do give a good amount of JP, and they die fairly quickly.
Yeah, I believe Zero's just 6 JP short, so these 2 frogs are going to be sufficient for EM. And we are going to see Jack not get surprised by the bugs encounter. So he is going to be able to get evasive maneuvers immediately as well.
Yeah, both of them are getting out of their Whistlewood split around 14 minutes, which is just an absolutely blazing fast pace. Even if you're grinding this single story, getting anything around a 14 is really, really good. And it just kind of speaks to the caliber of these runners. They're both super, super good, very consistent at the beginning of Ophilia's route.
Yeah, exactly. They know exactly how many JP they need, how much JP they need, and which encounters are the most optimal for farming those JP, those job points. So we are gonna see them tag Noble Court, which is gonna be useful for fast traveling in the late game. And but what it's gonna do is it's gonna allow them to reset their step counter, and then when they exit Noble Court, they are going to pick up. Oh, excuse me. Zero is going to pick up a medium light soul stone, and then go to Forest of Purgation to pick up some extra resources. In particular, a light soulstone large and 20,000 leaves, whereas Jack is just gonna TP back to Atlas Dam. So we are gonna see a divergence of routes here. Sunny, are you familiar with the route that Jack is perhaps using?
I'm actually not familiar with the route he's using. I think he might be going for the Allure route, which is very, very risky in a tournament setting like this. I know for a fact that Zero is going for the Thief Shrine route, which is the more consistent of the options.
Yeah, and I believe Zero is probably going for a free character route as well, which is a recent development in Ophi single story, which saves a whole bunch of time against the traditional 4-character route. Without much loss in consistency, I believe, and he is going to be opting for the Thief Shrine variation of the free character route, which is the more consistent variation out of the available free character routes. The fastest being the Inhibit route, where you guide an NPC to use Inhibit defense, which lowers the defense of your enemies, as opposed to the Thief Shrine route, where you teach Armor Corrosive to one of your party members in order to lower the physical defense of an enemy. Guaranteed.
Yeah, so this is where these two runners are going to be diverging based on their routes. Jack might be going for the 4-character route, or he might be going for a modified 3-character route. I'd be really surprised if he winds up going for the 4-character route, just because it is pretty considerably slower, all things considered. Zero, though, since he picked up that light large soulstone, he's able to go straight to Mick and Mac and get Tressa, which is really, really handy for the money route, because he hasn't done any exploration up to this point other than the Forest of Purgation. And having Tressa along for the ride is going to enable her to use her Eye for Money passive and pick him up quite a bit of money that we're going to need to finish the run.
Yeah, so Tressa is one of the most important characters for any Octopath speedrun, just because of her innate abilities, which are very useful for speedrunning purposes. So Tressa has an ability, a passive skill called Eye for Money, which allows her to basically generate money as you walk around the map. And you're not going to see much money being picked up from the lower level maps, but when we get to high level areas in a bit, we are going to see that money start to rack up a lot. And on top of that, Tressa is able to purchase items from NPCs, so you are able to acquire very powerful items such as large soulstones, which deal a lot of damage to enemies, considering the fact that your characters are very low leveled and cannot deal much damage by themselves.
Yeah, getting your hands on Tressa and Cyrus early is really, really good for your early game, because then when you're doing your exploration section, you have access to purchase and scrutinize, which enables you to get much higher level items than you would normally have access to. So we're seeing these runners kind of move through their exploration section. Jack just went through Stoneguard Pass and did not get an encounter, which is really, really good. Encounters there are just fairly painful. They can either kill you or take forever to kill you, both of which are very bad. And he's going to be doing a save and quit while heading to the Merchant Shrine. This save and quit resets his encounter rate for the screen, and it's going to enable him to get there safely without getting any encounters.
Yeah, and we're just gonna see Zero finish up on Mick and Mac. He threw the large soulstone and the medium soulstone, which he got outside Noble Court and in Forest of Purgation, to quickly finish off Mick and Mac and finish up Tressa's story. So he is gonna be starting his exploration section of the run very soon now. Whereas we see Jack, he's already in the middle of exploration. He is in fact going to pick up the Merchant Shrine now. So shrines are a a feature in this game which allow you to equip secondary jobs onto your characters, which allow for some interesting job combinations. So the Merchant Shrine in particular is very useful for dealing a whole bunch of damage with a skill called Hired Help. And Hired Help is basically where you use money to deal damage, and we are going to see this come into play for pretty much all the bosses past Chapter 1.
Yeah, so basically the goal right now is to kind of get yourself set up to complete Ophilia's story. Right now, these characters are all very low level. They really don't stand a chance against any of the bosses, so we're going to need to get some gear, get some money, get some soul stones in order to kind of progress through her story as quickly as possible. I didn't see Jack pick up the Warrior Shrine, so I'm assuming he's going for the 4-character route, which it might just be a familiarity thing where he's more comfortable with that route, or it might just be that he doesn't want to deal with some of the inconsistencies that the 3-character route brings.
Yeah, I believe Jack said that he actually hasn't tried the 3-character route, so he might just be going for the 4-character route because it's something that's more familiar to him. We did see him tag, I believe it was Cobblestone, which is Ulbricht's town, so it makes sense why he would skip the Warrior Shrine if he's just gonna pick up Ulbricht.
Yeah, we'll see what he winds up doing. So both of these routes do have a couple of different variations. So Jack, the route that I know he's familiar with is the Allure route with Primrose, but for some consistency, he might even opt to go for the Therian route, which is also a little bit slower, but again, more consistent. One of the things that we really like about Ophilia as a single character story is that you can opt into these variations to give yourself some more consistency or to give yourself some more potential speed.
Yeah, and this is again made possible by Ophilia's guide, which allows her to guide NPCs, which decrease the physical defense of enemies. And why this is important is because if you remember Hired Help, we are going to use Hired Help Veterans, which is the highest tier of Hired Help, where you spend 30,000 leaves to deal a massive amount of damage to enemies, and this damage can be multiplied by 1.5 times if you use Armor Corrosive or if an NPC with Inhibit Defense lowers the defense.
Yeah, getting that physical damage buff on the enemy is really, really good. Or sorry, physical damage debuff on the enemy, where they take more physical damage. It's really, really nice because it is multiplicative, so your skills deal a significantly more amount of damage when they are affected by that.
So we're gonna see Jack warp back to Ripple-Tide, and he's gonna pick up Tresson now after he finished up his exploration in the Grandport section, whereas Zero is making his way to Grandport. We are gonna see him scrutinize this NPC outside Goldshore, which is Ophilia's Chapter 3 town, and this NPC is gonna give us information which we can use to complete a quest called a safe route, and we're gonna complete that when we get to Ophilia's Chapter 3, and it's gonna be very useful because it's gonna give us 11,000 leaves, which is quite a huge amount of money actually, and it's certainly gonna come into play when we start to use Hired Help Veterans on the bosses.
Yeah, so we're going to actually see these routes line back up, which is going to be very interesting. Jack was able to get all the way to Grandport fairly safely. These screens can be kind of a pain. They're very high level, and the encounters here do basically just kill you regardless. We do have some tricks that we can use to make it a little bit more consistent. Like you saw there, Zero kind of zoned out of the Grandport screen and then went back in. That reset his encounter rate, as well as doing the save and quit right here. It enables you to get to Grandport fairly safely, but there is some risk of still getting an encounter.
Yeah, so hopefully we don't see Zero get an encounter outside Grand Port. It's gonna be really unfortunate if he does, because you are very likely to die in an area that is danger level 45 when your characters are not even level 10 at this point in the game, in the run. But we are gonna see Zero get the Grand Port safely, and he is gonna go opt to go to Lock of the Lost King immediately after tagging Grand Port. And he is able to pick up. He'll be able to pick up a large Wind Soulstone and 30,000 leaves from Lock. Whereas on Jack's end, we see him finish up with Mick and Mac, finish up with Tressa's story, and he is going to head over towards.
He's going to Runeblade right now. He's going to be picking up a large Soulstone and 50,000 leaves out of there.
Ah, okay, he's going to Runeblade. I'm not familiar with the 4-character route, that's why, but I am familiar with the 3-character route that Zero's using, which doesn't go to Runeblade. So we see that Zero, after warping out of Grand Port, he is essentially done with his exploration. So he is going to run over the Saints Bridge right now, which is the Ophilia's Chapter 2 town, and he is going to start finishing up the rest of Ophilia's story, whereas Jack is still doing his exploration, and I believe he still has to pick up Obrick after finishing up at Runeblade.
I think he's going to be picking up Primrose for the Allure. So he's going to be running through Runeblade here. You do need some more resources because he is going to have to finish another Chapter 1, whereas Zero only had to finish the 3 characters Chapter 1s. So this is where the big time differential actually comes from. While you don't have to run through Primrose's section, which is fairly quick, it really only takes about a minute and a half, depending on if you get an encounter or not. But Zero is going to save all of that time and not have to deal with any of that.
Alright, so the Cobble tag was actually just to get the Primrose's town quicker. So yeah, we are going to see Jack head over to Sunshade right now, where he will pick up Primrose. And Zero is actually on the same screen as him, but he is not going to pick up Primrose. He's just going to run straight to Saints Bridge. So the routes are they are kind of at the same point, but Jack still has one final thing to do before he is able to finish up with Ophi's story. So we can say that Jack is probably about a minute and a half behind Zero at this point.
Kind of depends if the catacombs are going to be nice to him or not. We do have a couple of fairly dangerous screens coming up. So if you look over to Zero's screen, he's entering the Saints Bridge Traverse here. These screens, depending on if he does a save or quit or not, or enters the Apothecary Shrine or not, can be very scary. The encounters you get here, they deal quite a bit of damage, and they don't break very easily, the formation that you get.
Yeah, we are going to see Zero opt to not reset his step counter, and he's gonna get an encounter here, but he is gonna be able to kill this encounter with a medium stone and a small soul stone. So as long as his characters don't die here, which I just jinxed it, Cyrus did go down, but he's just gonna finish up with the encounter. Opt not to revive Cyrus and get the JP on him, because he is gonna be able to have another chance. He's gonna have another chance to get JP on Cyrus pretty soon.
Yeah, and that's completely okay. He doesn't even have that encounter routed in for the JP route. It's just it's faster to kill it than it is to break it. And Zero's a good enough runner where he can keep track of his soulstone count and kind of pay attention through that very.
Yeah, we're coming up on the infamous scrutes here, and Zero's gonna be scrutinizing the cleric in the church, which is a 50% scrutinize, to allow Ophilia to guide a character later on known as the Worrywart. And so we see here that Zero did not opt to go for the Thief Shrine variation. He is in fact going to go for the Inhibit route. So he did choose to, he did choose to do the Inhibit route, and so he had to scrutinize the Cleric in the Church, which allows Ophilia to Ophilia to guide Worry Ward, who is the source of Inhibit defense. We are going to see him fail the rest of his scrutinizers, though, on a 36% scrutinize, and he is going to have to reset his reputation. So, Sunny, could you explain how reputation works in this game?
Yeah, so basically with the path actions that each character has, the ones that are considered rogue have a chance to fail. So rogue characters, they can use their path actions regardless of level, but they do have that % chance to fail. If you fail that % chance 5 times, you have to reset your reputation. Now here in Saintsbridge, your reset reputation is only 8,000 leaves, which Zero has a very convenient backup for in the Silverfield pouch coming up in Chapter 3. But it is a little bit irritating to have to go out of your way, reset your reputation, go back, try the scrutinize again, and it does waste a little bit of time.
Yeah, we are going to see that Zero is not going to continue scrutinizing the guy, the NPC. So I'm not sure when he's going to finish up with the scrutinizers. Maybe after the Chapter 2 boss. But that NPC is especially important in this route because he opens up more options in the shop in Saintsbridge. Basically, you'll be able to purchase what's known as empowering bracelets, which give an additional 500 boost to each character's max HP per bracelet, and you're able to equip 2 bracelets onto each character. So each character is going to be able to get 1000 extra HP, which is very useful for surviving attacks on Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 bosses.
So here you see the big route differential right now. So Jack had to go back to Grandport and guide the Allure Lady. He needed to allure the Inhibit Defense Lady in Grandport, which is a 30% allure. So he has to do that 30% chance as well as the 30% merchant here in Saintsbridge. So the 4-character route does have some more RNG associated with it than the 3-character route because you have to get that additional allure on top of it.
We're going to see Zero opt for a save and quit inside Mirkwood, which is kind of surprising to me because a lot of times you don't actually make it to the end with a save and quit. So he could just be doing the save and quit for safety, just in case he gets ambushed by an encounter in Mirkwood. Oh no, he's not going to get an encounter. He is just going to run straight to the boss and... does he have enough JP on Cyrus is the issue?
Yeah, so he took the encounter in the path to Mirkwood. He got the encounter
that's right.
Yeah, so he only needs one of the 2 encounters. So taking that save and quit there is just an adaptation from getting that earlier encounter. And here we see Jack on the left-hand side having a hard time with the scrutinize here on the guard to get some more items in the shop. So he's going to have to go and reset his reputation as well and pay that 8,000 leaf tax.
On the other hand, Zero is just finishing up with Rod Veneer, which is Ophilia's Chapter 2 boss. We're going to see Hard Help veterans come into play here, deal a whole bunch of damage alongside 3 large soulstones, and is going to put away her Rod Veneer very quickly, and Zero's going to be able to finish up Ophilia's Chapter 2 right away.
Yeah, so here you can see just the difference between the 2 routes. Jack is just now starting Ophilia's Chapter 2, while Zero's completely finished with it. He still does have to get through this scrutinized boss here. He gets it on the 8th try there. Not a big deal, so as long as he didn't fail that again 5 times, he's in pretty good shape, and he's able to do a pretty easy.
Yeah, we are going to see Jack struggle a bit more with the scroots, and we really hope that we don't see him. And yeah, he gets the scroot at last. So pretty fortunate for him. And he's going to head over to Mirkwood right now to finish up with Ophilia's Chapter 2. But Zero is starting Ophilia's Chapter 3 in Goldshore as we speak.
Yeah, so it looks like Zero had a backup plan for that reset reputation. He grabbed the 3,500 chest in Mirkwood, as well as scrutinizing the old lady there, right on the north part of that screen, in order to kind of make up that money that he lost on failing that scrutinize 5 times. And then Jack is going to be making his way to the Wolf here in Ophilia's Chapter 2. One of the things with the route that Jack is using is he's really, really reliant on his allured inhibit defense girl to kind of cooperate. So with this route, you have to throw extra soul stones if she decides to not use that inhibit defense. It's a 1 in 3 chance for her to use it, and if it happens anytime in the first 3 turns of this fight, he's good. If it doesn't happen, then he's going to have to use some more of those resources and back them up somewhere else.
Yeah, and Zero's just gonna make his way through the start of Ophilia's Chapter 3. He's gonna do like some mandatory guides, and then he's gonna go over to Grandport to pick up some resources for the upcoming fights. In particular, he's gonna buy a Healing Great Bunch and a large pomegranate, which will be used in the final fight of this run. So we are going to see him warp over to Grandport right now, and he's going to head over to the markets and purchase the aforementioned resources with Tressa. Zero's going to opt to buy an Unerring Bracelet, which increases the accuracy of a character by 50. So Zero opting for a safe strat here. In the free character route, it's kind of a risk. It's kind of a gamble as far as accuracy is concerned, because you have to land a few normal attacks and a spearhead on Mystery Man, which is one of Ophilia's Chapter 3 bosses. And the accuracy on some of these attacks are not exactly the best. So Zero opting to pick up the Unerring Bracelet there to give himself a bit more insurance on these upcoming fights.
Yeah, it's also going to help out with the Plains Drake encounter, because he's not going to be able to have the 2 characters that can use Flurry to easily break that encounter. So he's going to use that to kind of help him out with those couple of encounters that are going to be coming up. Meanwhile, Jack here is just finishing up Ophilia's Chapter 2, finishing off those story prompts, and he's going to be able to head straight into Ophilia 3 and complete it fairly quickly as well.
Yeah, and we're gonna see Zero warp back to Saints Bridge, and we're gonna see him purchase the empowering bracelets that I mentioned before and equip it onto all of his characters. He is also gonna guide the Worry Wart, which is, like I said, the source of inhibit defense. It functions exactly the same as the allure that Jack got in Grandport. And so Jack now is going to come up on purchasing his empowering bracelets. And Zero got an encounter outside the cave. But he did surprise it. So very fortunate for Zero here. He is gonna have that guaranteed escape from the encounter, which can lose you a whole bunch of time if you fail to escape multiple times. And you can opt to break the encounters outside the cave, but breaking is not exactly the fastest option either.
Yeah, so we're moving into the grotto here. So Zero's going to be doing a save and quit. You can see him position himself on like the far right-hand side of that save post. The first half of this run through the grotto is fairly... You really don't get an encounter very often, but the second half of the run is pretty dangerous, and you get an encounter fairly often. So by positioning himself on the right-hand side there, he's just giving himself a little bit fewer steps in order to get to Mystery Man and Shady Figure.
Yeah, and these little details and little optimizations, if you would call them, really speaks to the caliber of these runners. They really know how to give themselves the best shot at getting a good time, minimizing encounters, and finishing a run.
That's really what separates the top runners in this game. They are able to have just completely optimal movement, which makes it so they have the least chance of getting an encounter on any given screen. So here, Zero's moving into the Mystery Man and Shady Figure fight. This fight is fairly innocuous. It's not super dangerous. Luckily, for a Chapter 3 fight, these guys have fairly low HP because they are 2 instead of just 1. So by breaking both of them and using hired help veterans with the inhibit defenses, it should kill them fairly quickly.
Yeah, so we see Worry Ward actually fail to get inhibit defense off, but luckily for Zero, he did pick up an extra Soul Stone outside Grandport, so he's gonna be able to do a backup strat here, whereby you don't need inhibit defense, and instead you just throw a bunch of Soul Stones to finish off the bosses. And we might see him do the Collect here as a backup for having missed, having to reset his rep earlier on.
Oh, that you hate to see that. He gets the inhibit defense after he's done all the attacks and thrown all the soul stones. So he does the collect, like you mentioned, to make up that money. He's probably going to also need to pick up some more soul stones. And then on the left-hand side, we have Jack getting that very unfortunate encounter on the path to Grotto. It looks like he is opting to attempt to break it as opposed to Zero's just kind of YOLO fleeing from it.
Yeah, this is one of the worst encounters you can get outside outside the cave in Chapter 3 because they don't have similar weaknesses, so you just kind of have to waste time breaking them one by one. But thanks to the empowering bracelets, Jack is able to take quite a few hits here, and he is gonna be able to break the encounter, hopefully. Yeah, he is gonna break the encounter and manage and carry on with the run. But Zero is just finishing up on Chapter 3, and he is gonna head over to Whisper Mill very soon.
Yeah, it's interesting to see their different approaches there. So Zero went for the flea, and Jack had to break that encounter there. So they both actually gotten very similar RNG throughout this entire run. Neither of them got encounters on the way to Grandport. They both got the encounter on the path to Grotto, and it's just really coming down to that route difference where Zero's executing the 3-character route very well, and Jack just opting into that slower route that he's more comfortable with.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Zero did pick up a Healing Grape M outside Noble Court. So it's just as an added safety on Matthias. Oh, he is gonna go to Purgation, actually. This is an interesting thing. I've never seen anyone do this before, but it's probably backup for the money that he's lost having to reset that rep.
Yeah, it's probably a combination of the rep as well as the unerring bracelet. I'm not sure if the unerring bracelet is actually routed in, because when you're doing single story runs of this category, you basically just kind of take the RNG wherever you can get it, and if you don't get it, you hit the reset button. So taking these safety strats for the tournament is really interesting to see, and it's cool to see the adaptations that these runners are making to make these routes more consistent for them.
We're gonna see Zero come up on the Plane Strike encounter, and he's gonna hope for 1,000 spears from Ophi to hit and break these spears. So 1,000 spears is guaranteed at least 3 hits, but it targets multiple enemies. So you are guaranteed to break at least one of the drakes, and then if you're lucky, you get to break 2. If not, you kind of have to hope that one of your other characters is able to break the remaining drake. Luckily enough, we do see Cyrus hitting the Plane Strike thanks to that unerring bracelet, which increased his accuracy, so Zero's able to escape from that encounter unscathed.
Yeah, and then we have Jack finishing up Mystery Man and Shady Figure here. He did get the inhibit defense, so he's going to be smooth sailing through these Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 bosses, and he's not going to have to pick up any additional soul stones, which is really, really nice when you're running this category, because then you just don't have to go out of your way and waste time.
Yeah, so we can't say for sure who is going to win now. Zero is ahead, but of course he can still run into some bad luck in the final chapter, especially if you don't get any inhibits on Matthias, which is Ophilia's final boss, and kind of the cultists fight before that. Most of the time it's fine, but they have this attack where they throw soul stones at you, and if you get 2 soul stones thrown at you, you just lose. So some RNG can still come into play in the late game, and we are going to see Zero head into Ebony Grotto to finish up Ophilia's Chapter 4.
Yeah, Zero's definitely in the driver's seat right now. Jack just finishing up Chapter 3. He still has to make his way up to Whispermill and start Ophilia's Chapter 4. But Zero does have quite a bit of RNG coming up. So moving through this Ebony Grotto screen, he's hoping to not get an encounter, which he successfully does. Has really good movement, makes that screen just look easy right there. Going to pick up the last of his money and move into the cultist fight, and finally Matthias.
Yeah, and like I said, the cultist fight generally is fine, but we really don't want to see soul stones come up from the cultists. So what Zero's going to do is he's going to use hired help mercenaries to break the encounter, and then chuck a bunch of soul stones at them to clear them up, and then after that he is able to take on Matthias.
Yeah, and Jack, unfortunately, here getting surprised by the Plains Drakes. Not the biggest deal in the world. At this point, your party has quite a bit of HP, and they can take quite a few hits. And since Jack is doing the 4-character route, he has 2 characters which can use Flurry, which is a guaranteed hits on the Plains Drake. So once one of them decides to cast Flurry, you're out of there, as opposed to the 3-character route where you have to rely on accuracy.
Yeah, and we see Zero here successfully clearing the cultists. And he's gonna head into Matthias right now, whereas Jack has just started Chapter 4 and is selling his items in the shop to get his money for hired help veterans on Matthias.
All right, let's see what Matthias decides to do. So this fight is fairly scripted. It just kind of depends on what he does with his first and second attacks. Each of these characters can live through 1 attack from Matthias, but they can't live through 2. So if he decides to hit the same person twice, they're going. Yeah, and he got the inhibit turn 1 there. Very, very good. He would have preferred to have seen it turn 2, but not the biggest deal in the world. And no double tap. Matthias decided to spread out his attacks, and this is just Zero's to win. He should be good to just pilot it from here. He's a good enough player that he's going to be able to execute this and finish it.
Yeah, so the only thing that can really go wrong is, number 1, if you don't get inhibit, of course. But if Matthias decides to use his normal attack first and then Consuming Darkness, your warriors are not going to be able to cover the attack for the party members. So if he attacks and then uses Consuming Darkness on the same party member, he is going to be able to take one of them down. But that's a very low chance. And we actually do see a second inhibit from Worry Ward on Zero's end, so it's pretty much GG from here. He's just going to finish Matthias up with hired help veterans.
Yep, so basically he built up the character's HP pool to live through that first break, and then used Ophilia's reflective veil to block the Black Gale from the second break, and is going to finish this up nice and handily, and he's going to take the...
Yeah, and Jack just coming up on the cultists fight. He's not actually that far behind, so very good performance by Jack, despite using a slower route, an inherently slower route. Yeah, it just shows that these 2 runners are really top runners. Being able to pilot these routes so effectively and finishing with top times, we are going to see Zero finish up right now.
Yeah, and Zero finishing with a time of sub 50, which is really, really good, especially in this setting. He did take quite a bit of liberty to get some safety strats and get some backup strats, but GG to him. Jack is going to be finishing up the Matthias fight here soon. Depending on what happens in this fight with the Inhibit Girl, this could either be a 3-turn, a 6-turn, or a 9-turn kill. It's usually fairly consistent. If your Inhibit Girl just doesn't cast Inhibit, then you can just absolutely lose the fight from there. But we're going to see Inhibit turn 1, so if Matthias doesn't double tap, it's going to be a 3-turn kill.
Alright, we see Consuming Darkness first, and attack into Ophilia, so Jack should have this. I'm not too familiar with the 4-character route. I believe he still has to get inhibits, is that right?
No, he's done. You got inhibit turn 1, he finishes it off in 2-turn.
Alright.
Turn 1 inhibit is completely optimal, you get a 3-turn fight, best case scenario. So, hi guys.
Yeah, we're joined by Zero here. Zero GG on the run, very nice time, 49.22, having taken quite a few safety strats.
Yeah,
so how was the run?
That thing was a train wreck, man. I got like every extra battle ever that doesn't kill you. Be interesting. And,
Yeah, we saw that you you got a preemptive on the Path to Grotto encounter, Path to the Seaside Grotto encounter. That was really fortunate for you. How did you feel when you got that encounter?
Well, before the preemptive, I was like, God damn it, it's the worst one too, because it's the 2 Dark Curators. I saw the preemptive, I'm like, oh, well, okay, that works, I guess.
Jack finishing with a time of 51 here, very good time for his 4-character route.
51 is really good for 4-character with inhibit. GG them.
GG Jack.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you guys saw from each other's runs, but you both had very similar RNG throughout. So you both failed the 30%. Yeah, you both failed the 30% scrutinize. You both got the encounter on the Path to Seaside Grotto. Neither of you got Grand Port encounters. It was actually quite close all the way.
This was essentially just a route comparison video then, is what it was.
Yeah, I saw Jack also did some shenanigans, picking up the flurry guy from Flames.
I was so surprised when I saw you pick up the flurry guy, Jack.
You gotta take any potential time saves you can.
Well, we definitely do respect that play. Interesting.
I knew we were gonna do it. I'm just like, are you really gonna do it though?
Yeah, of course.
But it was really nice to see you going for that and then guiding the fireball lady in Atlas Dam.
Thanks to Member for that strat. I had no clue about that lady. I would have honestly just gone back to Flames Grace and gone Summon Wins guy once I arrived at that.
You told me you were gonna do that. I'm just like, why not get the?
Yeah, well, I was. Yeah, and then you convinced me it was a bad idea, and I just took your word for it.
What was she for you? Because she can give you some really good RNG in that fight, or she can be useless.
She was alright. She didn't Firestorm when I needed her to, and so she was kind of useless. Summon Wins is definitely better for after the dudes are dead.
100%.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, she does pretty good damage with Firestorm if it's broken.
Yeah, for sure. Too bad. The only time I saw Firestorm was Russell was unbroken.
Yeah, we saw that.
So what happened? Was did you use Thief Shrine or Inhibit or what? I wasn't.
I used
Inhibit. The Inhibit route, yeah.
I didn't get the Inhibit, but I got like a billion dupes, and I got the double Inhibit on Maddie, so it wasn't too bad. Finished with like 2 extra L-stones.
I got 3 Inhibits, so I'm happy with that.
Nice. All 3?
Yeah.
That was good, man.
Wolf was turn 1, Mystery Shady was turn 2, Matthias was turn 1. I mean, it has to be turn 1 if you want a fast fight.
Oh, unless you have Prim really early turn 2, but that's just key. Even then, it's like, because you normally use the vets to break, right? So.
Yeah, I mean,
I
just want it turn 1 because I don't want to have to think.
Yeah, exactly. And turn 1.
Oh yeah, I got a duplicate L-stone on the pre-fight, so I got to cut Cyrus's turn out of the last turn, I guess.
Nice.
Got to use 2 Ls.
Weirdest thing I did in this one, I went to Purgation to pick up the Tempest Amulet.
I got absolutely.
Yeah, I saw you pick up the Tempest Amulet.
I got absolutely screwed outside of chapter 3.
I got the battle too, but I got the preemptive. I got lucky there.
Oh, lucky dude.
And
Jack
unlucky,
got
but lucky.
the urchin encounter and the crab.
I forgot that I probably could have broken faster because I forgot that the dude was weak to ice, so I could have broken quicker.
Oh, I see. I don't mind that battle too much. I mean, it's really slow, but at least it's like not dangerous. So you lose like your 40-50 seconds, but you continue on.
I mean, I almost heard the entire battle 2 loop, so that was pretty slow. I tried breaking with flurry, and I did. That's what ended up happening, but it was unfortunate. I was actually because I also used bandits because I got the crab, so I was a little bit like short on money when I got to chapter 4, but I just had to sell the jam, and then that was that.
Yeah, it definitely was a close race. Zero, was the unearring bracelet something that you would plan for, or is it something that you normally throw in?
I was, unless I was in like potential record pace, I was gonna get the unearring. It was like safety strat, you know? You don't want to miss on mystery dudes like I did with my unearring bracelet on.
You did miss the spearhead though, but luckily Worry Ward hit into
Stressor was after. I could have gone for boosted bandits, but then I'd lose access to backup if I don't get inhibit. And I didn't get inhibit until turn 4, where it's useless. So I would have GG'd right there.
Pretty good run. 51-12 is what I got.
Yeah, both super good runs. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here soon. Jack, do you have any final thoughts for the race?
Good luck to everyone else, I guess.
Zero, how about you? Any final thoughts?
Good luck to everyone else. Don't get murdered by ants.
I hope the race is what everybody wanted going into seeing the top 2 players going against each other. There was a lot of expectations to fulfill there. But
I hope we met expectations.
I don't know. People talking in chat about, this is the top 2 race.
This is finals right here. The tournament's over.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. You didn't know
we're
that?
done,
right?
Didn't Yuno get like what was Yuno's time?
Hey, you got like a 47. You got a really sick time. Better than both of ours.
Whoa.
It was a Kate outside whistle and then like all inhibits kind of run. It was just really good.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see the caliber of runs that's going to be coming out of this tournament. It's really cool seeing everybody grinding Ophilia and everybody pushing their times low.
I'm really hype about all the new routes that came out of this. Like the new free character stuff was probably not gonna get found if it wasn't for this race. So,
Exactly.
I might do 3-character Kate sometime before I die. So,
Oh,
good luck, my friend. You'll need it. That is what kind of pain.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that we need to ask the runners what route they're doing beforehand because it's really difficult to try to guess when you don't know what they're.
I think it's more interesting that way. You can see on the fly. Honestly, you can even adapt on the fly. The free character can push the Thief Shrine before Saintsbridge, essentially.
I was hoping
Oh yeah, actually that was a question I wanted to ask. Zero, what made you opt for the inhibit route instead of the Thief Shrine route?
Shrine's boring. That was basically it. I tried it the other day. It was just so boring.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because you did have the option to go to Thief Shrine, but you chose to do Inhibit route instead. I thought you would go for the Thief Shrine just for that added safety, and especially if you knew that if Jack was using 4-character route, I thought you would want to use the Thief Shrine route just to get that extra safety, but still maintain a fast enough pace.
I could have, and would have probably still worked out roughly the same. Would have probably been like a minute slower. Decision based on what the other runner is doing. I feel like because then I could also like stream snipe, and nobody likes that, you know. It's like, oh hey, I'm ahead. I can go to Thief Shrine. I'm behind. I can go to. I'll do inhibit. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I'm gonna stick with one route the whole race. We'll see what happens. So did anybody catch my little backup I did during Chapter 2? Where since I got the battle outside of Saintsbridge and the battle on the path, I did the save and quit inside Mirkwood.
Yeah, I actually noticed that, and I forgot that. I didn't catch that you got the battle outside, so I was wondering why you did the save and quit inside, because I believe it's still possible to get an encounter on the way to Harad Veneer.
I wouldn't never
that
go
right?
for that just because of that. You can still get the encounter anyway.
Yeah, you can still
Yeah.
get it, but it's not too bad. I made that like my backup for if I get both the battles before Path to or before Mirkwood, I do the save and quit there. Just because stone count gets really stupid if you actually need to do everything. You have to kill all 3, it gets really hard.
Yeah, I actually saw that you didn't purchase the Shadow Elf from the guard outside church, or you might have purchased it when you went back in, but did you skip that?
I went back and got it. In hindsight, I don't think I should have because I did get a dupe and I was down money from the scrutinize. That I might have been able to not do the whole Tempest Amulet detour for 4,000. Well, silly. But the first time I kind of just forgot about it and I was gonna get it on the way back. You can skip it if you get to Windell and Grandport Coast. You can just
I
wait.
see, that's why you skipped it. Okay.
But I just kind of forgot.
All right. It was a really good race, though, guys. Does anybody have any last minute thoughts before we sign off?
Jack, it was fun.
Thank you, GG. You too.
GG guys, and thanks for coming here.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We do have another race coming up on Thursday at 9 o'clock. We have Mamgar versus Sanjin, which is going to be another very, very good race. Both very good runners, and I'm excited for that one. So, yeah, we're signing off here. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good rest.
You too.
Thanks for commentating, guys. Have a
Thanks
good day.
for
Good week, everyone.